It's time for our daily dose of cope. And as soon as I saw the breaking news on my news app this morning out of the Supreme Court, I knew it was going to be an amazing day. I knew that Donald Trump was going to be in a tizzy, and so would MAGA, and it makes my heart just jump with joy. I love that they are probably stressed because their racism is palpable. Let's go ahead and jump into this story. This whole video is going to be about the 14th Amendment being upheld by the Supreme Court. Right now, the Constitution is hanging on by a thread. This is where we're starting. Supreme Court upholds birthright citizenship on constitutional grounds. In a sharp rebuke to Trump, the Supreme Court ruled Tuesday that the Constitution guarantees automatic birthright citizenship to virtually all children born in the United States. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the court's 6-3 opinion, citing both the colonists' demands for the rights of Englishmen as well as the abolitionists' lauding of the ancient and universal rule of citizenship by birth alone. Citizenship then and now was the right to have rights, to freely participate in our political community. The framers of the 14th Amendment extended that promise to every freeborn person in this land, Roberts wrote. We keep that promise today. The vote was 6-3, depending on how you count it. Altogether, 5 justices signed on to Roberts' opinion. A 6th, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, agreed only that the federal legislation enacted in the 1950s granted automatic citizenship for children born in the U.S. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote the lead dissent in a 91-page opus that agreed with President Trump's assertion that the 14th Amendment only applied to former slaves and their descendants. The Thomas dissent added that he was not sure that today's majority opinion would stand the test of time. The opinion was joined by Justice Neil Gorsuch, with Justice Samuel Alito writing separately. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson responded to some of the themes in the Thomas dissent. Despite his long-standing endorsement of a colorblind society, Justice Thomas now surprisingly suggests that citizenship clause was a race-conscious remedial measure relating only to freed slaves, she wrote. The decision firmly rejected the executive order that Trump issued on the first day of his second term. It sought to bar citizenship for babies born in the U.S. to parents who either entered the country illegally or who are living and working here legally with temporary visas. The executive order never went into effect because every lower court judge who reviewed it concluded, in the words of one judge, that it was blatantly unconstitutional. The fact that this dude thought that he was going to come into office and just write executive orders overturning laws in the Constitution and amendments and stuff is ridiculous. But he did. He came in signing all these executive orders, and then these people are clutching their pearls that they are getting overturned. He has been taking a lot of L's lately. I went over to Donald Trump's Life Social page. He posted this morning once these rulings started coming out. He said, I would like to congratulate President Xi and the great country of China on their massive birthright citizenship win, President Donald J. Trump. He is salty, and I hope that his pressure is going up. This was also on his page. I don't know if y'all saw this, but Donald Trump is putting his picture on U.S. passports. So yeah, we got that. He needs to put his face on just about everything as if America is up for branding deals. It is honestly ridiculous. All right, let's look at the saltiness of Ted Cruz. Today's decision regarding birthright citizenship is a travesty. The 14th Amendment was written to overturn Dred Scott and guarantee citizenship to freed slaves, not to create automatic citizenship for the children of those who violate our immigration laws or are only temporarily in the United States. This decision will only invite further exploitation of our immigration system. The court adopted an interpretation that departs from the original meaning of the Constitution and incentivizes illegal immigration. Congress retains the authority to clarify federal law, and it should act immediately to restore the original meaning of the Citizenship Clause and protect the integrity of American citizenship. If they could, that's the thing. Donald Trump has the House, he has the Senate, but they have not passed any laws at all. Well, they passed the big, beautiful BS of a bill and stripped away Medicaid and Medicare and all of that stuff, but they're not enacting any of these laws. And this dude thought that he was going to write away a constitutional amendment with an executive order. This man, Ted Cruz, who is a lawyer, should know better. He knows how to create laws. He is a lawyer. Vince Langman asked the question, was Amy Coney Barrett President Trump's worst decision of both his terms? And then this you content creator posted this screenshot from September 26, 2020. Vince says, 40 years from today, my last dying words will be, thank you, President Trump, for putting ACB on the Supreme Court. You saved America. This you simply laughed. Thrill House says, 40 years from today, did he pick his self-deletion date? We got Sean saying, the only consistency is the inability to remember their previous iron-forged positions prior to abandoning them for a directly opposite position. Jason says, fantasizing about the last moments of his life, and he can't take his favorite cult leader, Donald Trump, out of the picture, just glazing this dude. Love Beyond Color says, LOL, these grifters are all the same. And they are absolutely all the same. They are so upset and clutching their pearls today. I am having so much fun taking screenshots from Twitter. We have Nancy May saying, impeach rogue activist judges. We're looking at you, Amy Coney Barrett. Nikki F. absolutely voted for Donald Trump. His groypers definitely voted for Donald Trump. He was happy saying, your body, my choice. This is what he said. Now he's absolutely irritated with the Trump administration. He's irritated with this Iran war. He goes hard against them. So this is what he said about this upholding of the birthright citizenship. He says, a Trump-appointed justice single-handedly upheld birthright citizenship. No mass deportations, no border wall, no termination of birthright citizenship. If Republicans can't or won't do anything about immigration, then why vote for them? This man named Warren says, Melania Trump became a U.S. citizen 4 months after Barron was born. Y'all really want to have this fight? He said also, Ivana Trump was not a U.S. citizen when her 3 children with Donald Trump were born. And he says, I'm well aware that Trump was a citizen. So that's the line for y'all. Come here and get pregnant, all good. Get pregnant, then come here, all bad. I'm glad SCOTUS said Americans are American because this is BS logic. Skylar said, Donald Trump was born before his mom became a naturalized U.S. citizen. Don Jr., Ivanka, Eric, and Barron Trump were born before their immigrant mothers became naturalized U.S. citizens. Matt Von Swoll, he's definitely a MAGA influencer. I told you, they all have the same talking points today. He says, wait. So the Supreme Court basically ruled that anyone from anywhere who came into the country by any means can have a baby in the United States, and that baby is automatically an American citizen. What are we even doing here? That is obviously insane. The 14th Amendment has been there. Why are these people all clutching their pearls? Alex Cole responds to that. Birthright citizenship has been in the Constitution since 1868. Conservatives suddenly discovering the 14th Amendment in 2026 is hilarious. Bizman said it was never meant to mean what it does today, but that has been the meaning. Nobody has challenged it. And if it wasn't, then there are ways to overturn these amendments. They thought they were going to take it to the Supreme Court. They need to change the amendment, how amendments are meant to change. Lorraine says, I can assure you conservatives are vastly more knowledgeable than any leftist. If you read any book about Reconstruction written at the time, it's quite obvious the 14th Amendment applied to free slaves. Read Justice Thomas's dissent. You might learn something. We got NYR82 saying it hasn't. The 14th Amendment is misinterpreted. Read what the created of the amendment says about it and who it's intended for. And basically, WJ is saying the same thing. It was made for slaves. Okay, that's what they're saying, but the Supreme Court did not agree. Chad shared Matt's post saying, yeah, like Marco Rubio, Nikki Haley, and Vivek Ramaswamy, welcome to the Constitution.
Republicans across the political spectrum are calling the Supreme Court illegitimate after it overturned Trump's Birthright Citizenship executive order and enforced the 14th Amendment as written. And while they are freaking out and calling for constitutional amendments and saying that this court is illegitimate, if you look at the opinion, the court came dangerously close to actually ruling for the president, and it's a story that's being underreported. The final decision was 6-3 on the merits of the case, that the executive order changing the 14th Amendment's text essentially was unconstitutional. 3 justices would have upheld Trump's executive order, but there actually is a fourth. Justice Kavanaugh agreed with the ultimate ruling, not because the executive order violated the 14th Amendment, but because it violated a specific statute. And so Kavanaugh would have agreed with the other 3 conservative justices that Trump's rewriting of the 14th Amendment was constitutional. And so ultimately, it was a 5-4 decision in a lot of respects. All it takes is for one retirement or one death on the Supreme Court. And this court could easily flip even more. And you could have a scenario where in 2 years' time, you have a similar case brought up to the court and the decision could be radically different. That's the story that needs to be reported on. Spread the word, follow for more.
We have more pearl clutching from MAGA. And actually, Matt Walsh is not just MAGA. He's also one of these Theo bros. He says the idea that a pregnant woman from the Guatemala can sprint across the U.S. border, have the baby 30 minutes after arriving here, and the baby is magically a citizen of the U.S. is one of the most dumb and indefensible notions ever conceived. And also from Matt Walsh saying the actual birthright belongs to my children and the children of all real Americans. They have a birthright to live in a country that resembles the one our ancestors established. And now that birthright, the only true birthright, has been destroyed in favor of the imagined birthright of children born to parents who don't even belong in this country and who have no ancestral or cultural ties to it whatsoever. Total madness, self-deletion. Words cannot describe how evil this is. I, at least, got to live for 40 years in a country that looks and functions something like America. The fact that my children are having that opportunity stolen from them fills me with rage so deep I can't describe it. I truly hate the people who have done this to us. Oh, insane. Something else these people are saying. Mag says, if I see a pregnant foreigner, I'm calling ICE. How disgusting is that? Kevin Sorbo says a pregnant woman can jump the border, pop her baby out, and then get her family on welfare sponsored by American taxpayers' dollars. That's not right. Birthright citizenship needs to be fixed. Once again, we saw Nancy Mace deport illegals now or they will birth citizens. These people are super salty. Evan Kilgore, who is no longer MAGA, is still upset about this because a lot of these people are simply racist. But Evan Kilgore says Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts are traitors to our nation. Pass it on. All right, now we got Kyle Kulinski saying our idiot president has no clue that Congress can't pass a law to override the Constitution. You would need a constitutional amendment. And then he shares this post from Donald Trump. Trump says, the Supreme Court has upheld birthright citizenship, which is too bad for our country, but we can easily make it up in Congress through legislation with the support of the president. That has now been determined during this process. No long and unwieldy constitutional amendment is necessary, with an exclamation point, is no longer necessary. Congress should start today to work on ending expensive and unfair to our country birthright citizenship. They will have my complete and total support, President Donald J. Trump. The thing is, MAGA Mike Johnson keeps having the House sit out. He keeps having them go home and be on vacation. They are so unproductive right now as he has the House and Senate. What's going to happen come midterms when he loses the House and Senate? He's not going to get anything done. But they can't get anything done right now. Everything he's done so far has been executive orders, and lots of those are being overturned. This has nothing to do with birthright citizenship or the Supreme Court, but this happened last year when their favorite podcaster was taken out by that man from Utah. They were so ecstatic to try to get people fired. So this is libs of TikTok. And this happened last year. She says, professor at University of Tennessee, Knoxville, Tamir Shiranian, has been fired after a vile post celebrating Charlie's death. His kids are better off living in a world without a disgusting psychopath like him, and his wife is a sick F for marrying him. And then she said, F-A-F-O, you piece of poop. That is what she said about this woman. And so then the This You account shares this. Well, the University of Tennessee agrees to pay her $1.9 million. That is what you get for acting like you can get people fired or try to get folks arrested you don't like, trying to have a civil war, all because your favorite podcaster died and folks are talking about it on social media. You cannot control everybody, and I am glad that some of these things are happening and being upheld. Whew, a lot of stories to get through. Now, there are still so many people that are upset, but that's all for today.
We're celebrating already at the Great American State Fair. Man, we've got thousands of people celebrating this birthday with us, Tommy. You and I had a chance to go out. We got to see some of the exhibits. I'm sure you got what I got, which was a lot of people going, hey, love to watch it on Fox. I hope a lot of them left the mall, went home and turned on their TV and are watching this right now.